spot well after dark and made a mental note of tea and a good day. Left. We started setting up the camp despite this frustratingly gravel-thick soil. Have you ever tried beating a tent peg into a rock? We weren't being particularly loud, but must have attracted our neighbour's attention because he flung open the caravan door within 2 minutes of us arriving and started one of the weirdest conversations I have ever had. Expecting a grey nomad couple and a "please keep it down," I was surprised by the 55-ish, bushy-bearded man that approached us. He seemed erratically drunk and asked us if we had a bomb, which we did not. I offered him a beer and he asked where we were from. We met in Perth and he asks our names. We went around the group and we asked his. "Oh, don't worry about that." And then he clearly preoccupied with tents. Minimal attention was being paid and Toby had made more an effort to engage but was tending to his swag, and I was more or less solely engaged in the conversation. Despite his awful joke, which I talked up to different cultural sensitivities, I asked us if he minded us camping here, and what was he up to tonight? "Oh no, I'm just watching the State of Origin. Rugby, you know. I'm having trouble making friends." He pondered for 10 seconds or so and then followed up with, "I used to have a good friend, but he was a cross-dresser, so I had to take care of him." He said it so naturally that my general human statement interpreter thought it was an off-joke, and auto-response had already kicked in by the time I realized what he had just said. "Oh, how far is the river from here? Are we in range of any crocs?" I asked before my brain could work out. "Oh, why?" "Oh, only 150 meters that way, with the shallow graves. You know, my friend knows where some shallow graves are up in Hervenly Bay. But yeah, you know, being out here alone, I wouldn't worry about the crocs. Do you promise not to kill me if I promise not to kill you?" This was enough to trigger my dumb lizard brain, and a very rapid understanding of danger kicked in. "Oh, do you think Queensland will win the State of Origin?" "It would be embarrassing to lose all 3 games. What's the score anyway?" I asked in an attempt to show I'm less scared of the snake than it is of me. "Good point. Just come knock if you want some bourbon, boys," he said, as he walked the 10 meters to his caravan. I immediately turned to Toby and asked how much of that conversation he'd heard. He said not much, but enough to be a little shaken, and I asked if Toby had caught our bearded friend's name, and he replied he had not. I immediately insisted to my friend that we take a walk to the river, despite Alec repeatedly saying, "I'll be there in 5, just let me finish my tent." I made it very clear that we needed to see that river right now. In the very remote dark, we huddled around a smartphone torch, and I explained the conversation I had just had with our nameless gentleman. Alec and Chris, again, had only heard this guy being friendly, and asked our names and certainly didn't understand why I was being so edgy. Despite my being fully aware that we were in an actual horror movie, I agreed to keep setting up and wait to see if anything happened. I immediately started scoping sizable rocks to use in a mano-a-mano fight to the end, should it come down to it. And 10 seconds after considering it, I asked Toby what we should do if our mate McTaylor happened to have a firearm. He paused very briefly and then very quietly and aggressively pronounced we should get the hell out of there. We packed up extremely rapidly, one eye on the caravan at all times, and despite protestations from Alec, we got the hell out of there. I still have no idea if this guy was trying to play a big old joke on 4 mid-20s guys, or if there was something more sinister behind it. You can get away with a lot more if no one's around, and there aren't a whole lot of people looking in rural Queensland. Either way.
You see, that's why I carry my gun everywhere I go. Just in case if I run into another soccer player.
This particular experience happened when I was in 5th grade. My 5th grade teacher
Even if I'm
decided to have all of our students paint ceramic figurines as Christmas gifts for our parents. And so she decided to do this project in the old band hall of above our gym. Our elementary school, at the time, was the high school back in the 1930s. The band hall had been unused for many years. So our first day doing the project, she led us up to this dark staircase, and when she reached the top, she flipped the light over the staircase, and we turned and faced this long hallway lined with doors, some open, some closed. And this hallway was the only way to the main room, where she decided to do our painting. I immediately felt uneasy, like I was being watched down this long hallway, and I would peer into the rooms where the doors had been left unopened. I couldn't see much because they were pitch black, and a shiver went down my spine. Once I got to the main room, our teacher got us settled in, and we chose our figurines to paint. I chose a planter in the shape of a cat.
Ready, start.
My plan was to paint it all black with blue eyes.
Cool. Let's do this with study eyes.
Done, baby brother, daddy.
Good girl.
Come inside me and make me gag.
Sure.